right? We not having that. We want to build a community, forever. Kids win, we win. Period. Let me tell you how people were stopping me in the street saying, like, yo,
44?
Moose wasn't 46, bro. I'm a Cowboys
46.
fan. Stop messing with me. He was 48. I'm like, I know. I thought about it after. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of A.M.University. I'm your host, Antoine Miller. Wayne Smalls.
What's good with you?
What's up, brother? Looking slim, looking fit. Y'all saw Wayne? He been looking real, the last couple episodes. Getting out there, pulling up them jump shots from 35 feet away. I think it's really benefiting him. I just had to throw that out there. How your week going, Wayne?
Good. Chill.
Episode 47. What you got?
I don't know. What you think? John Lynch, right?
John Lynch. That's the only one that I could think of. John Lynch was a bad boy. Remember John Lynch?
I remember.
He was a hard-hitting safety
Tampa Bay.
boy. There you go.
Tampa
That
Bay.
was his good years.
Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos. He was a real good hard-hitting safety. Stan Spotswood. I got my dad on this show, everybody.
Peace.
How you doing, brother?
Man, I tell you what, this is the most exciting thing that's happened to me in 24 hours. No, I'm really excited to be here.
Hey, man, I'm glad to have you. So let's dive right into it. So first, I want to say congratulations to Nas on an amazing album. And the reason I said that is because I think it's a great segue into what we're talking about today.
And congratulations to Knuckleheads, too. I had a good episode.
It was a good episode.
People don't do podcasts.
It really was a good episode, though. That was a great episode.
People don't do podcasts, though.
Gotta love Wayne, man. So Nas came out with an album over the weekend called King's Disease 2. And I think it's phenomenal. I think him getting with Hit Boy, the younger guy, I think that really made it balanced him out. As far as his seniority in the game or whatever like that. But what I like most about it is, me personally, I never thought Nas was like he never adjusted in his music. Illmatic, Stillmatic. We knew Nas as a lyricist, but he never tried to be a well-rounded artist. I think this type of work made him a well-rounded artist, and I think he really tried to mature with his music. And I segue that into what we're talking about today, which is being a man. Right? From what I see a lot of guys shy away from taking care of their responsibilities and trying to mature in life. I think we always look for the easy way out and things, and we just go with the flow type of thing. And I think it's really stunting our growth as men, and especially in the black community as men. So I just want to have a dialogue about it, and see where it ends. So for the panel, in y'all opinion, what do y'all think makes a good man? Let's start with you.
I think the first thing I think about is to be responsible, for your actions. To be a good man is to be responsible for your actions, and that means that you are responsible for your good actions and your bad actions. I think a lot of times as men, it's easy for us to be responsible and talk about the good things that we've done. But as a father and as an educator, for me, I think one of the best things that I can do is to admit to my children, to admit to my wife, or admit to my students when I make a mistake, because immediately what that does is it gives me credibility. I think about the students in the classroom, for example. I have on my black educator shirt that I'm proud of. For the students in the classroom, I've seen teachers and male teachers that, would never admit when they're wrong. And students can see right through that. And I think that the foundation of manhood is taking responsibility for your mistake. And it's a really small thing, but just by, confessing, say, hey, I'm sorry, that was my fault, telling your kids, hey, you're right, I was wrong. Hey, daddy went off. Daddy got upset. Please forgive me, daddy. I'm sorry. You know, telling your wife or your partner, you know, hey, I'm sorry. You know, I think what that does is it takes more of being a man to do that than it does to, you know, do the other thing, which is what we often do, is to try to put on some type of a macho role as if we never really admit when we make a mistake.
So let me, because again, and you'll understand this, and Wayne will understand this when I say it. Let me play devil's advocate to what you just said. What about the repercussions that come with that honesty though? Is it like, because you know as men we're extremely fearful. I want to say that's why we're not honest, right? Because of the repercussions. And
yeah.
How do we go about that or whatever like that? But or do you think having an honesty is still the tip of the top of what makes most sense and what's most important?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the repercussions of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the repercussions of it are temporary, but the benefits of it are long lasting, you know. And so, and I think a lot of times why we struggle with it is, you did mention our fears, but also our insecurities, you know. And so as we grow as men and we become more confident in who we are, then I think it becomes easier for us to be able to admit when we make a mistake.
What you think, Wayne? What makes a good man?
You pretty much said a couple of things that I agree with. Another thing would probably be like, you know, to be a man is to do things you're supposed to do without getting the pat on the back, and still going forward and still continue to do those things that you're supposed to do. You know, a lot of people want to do what they're supposed to do and then get a thank you behind it, but you already doing what you're supposed to do, you know. And you know, I think a lot of times us men, we fail at that because we think since we're not getting cheered for because we doing what we supposed to do, we might slack off and lack off, like, okay, you ain't gonna appreciate me, quote unquote, I'm gonna stop, you know. But you know, that's a real good that's just my life. That's how my life played out. You feel me?
That's a real good point.
But I learned that.
And even another thing, I mean, y'all kind of both said it, and the way you, again, I always say this about you, the thing that I respect about you the most is you being yourself. I think like it comes back to the honesty part. Like, we want to wear this mask at times with people, especially our women in our life and things like that, and we want to portray this or show this during this time and show that when you're with your lady or whatever like that. But now you gotta do that constantly every single day. You gotta keep living up to that every single day instead of being your authentic self. You know, we all fall short. Like, why can't we just be our authentic self and they appreciate it, or say this ain't for me and keep it moving? I just really think that fear, like you said, I think it play a large part in our lives and we just don't want to face it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
And I think that's why relationships like this are important. You know, I was hanging out with you guys earlier today, and I just sensed just this genuine relationship, this genuine support, and this genuine respect for one another. You know, it was like I walked right into a group of guys that I knew, even though I didn't know them, but because I knew you and the respect they had for you, I felt like these guys are guys that I can vibe with, you know, even though I may be a little bit older than them. I felt right at home. And I think the key to overcoming that fear and overcoming that insecurities has a lot to do with the relationships that we form with other men, the positive relationships, because we need to cheer each other on so that we can be successful in doing those things that are necessary to be a good man. You know, we living in a day and time, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, but you know, men are being emasculated. You know, men are being, especially black men. You can't watch a show on TV. If you watch a show on the TV, the person who is the idiot, the bumbling idiot, is the man. I'm talking about like a sitcom or a comedy show. They don't portray men as responsible, because that's boring, I guess. It's easier for them to put the man down, and there has to exist a group of men who have enough love in their heart to commit themselves to one another and to honor one another's maleness. And I'll give you a real quick illustration. Last week I was visiting a guy in a hospital who had a stroke. He was a man. And when he was going through his reactions to the stroke, he was getting ready to have to go into surgery. He was agitated. And I just so happened to be in the room, and the nurses had me holding him down. Then he needed to urinate. Now, I don't want to see this man urinate.
So you have to go from holding him down and taking him to the bathroom.
So I'm holding him down, and I'm looking over his head because he's a friend of mine. And I'm not, and his wife is there.
Oh man.
So I'm, to me, I wanna, but he's out of it.
Oh, okay.
He's out of it, but still, something in me wants to honor him. As if I would want to be honored if I was in a situation and one of my friends or one of my boys was there with me. So I think it's that type of mentality of men who are for other men that I think is necessary for us to be all that we can be. In terms of your first question, what does it take to be a man? I think it takes other men supporting one another for us to be successful in our maleness and in our manhood.
Why don't we have that though? Like, to me that seems very rare. Like, again, me and you spoke earlier, and like I'm very fortunate to have it's a blessing that the friends that I have in my life, like, it was just total coincidence. We ain't planned to meet each other or anything like that, and I've known all these dudes since 8th, 9th, 10th grade, and we still solid to this day. Like, and I cherish those relationships daily, but it's like I don't see much of it, and I really don't know the reason. Like, everybody's individuals, and just trying to figure it out alone, and you're gonna run a hamster wheel. It's just it's just like I don't know, and I think that kind of like alludes to so when you're trying to figure out things on your own, now you look to TV for it. Like you said, a sitcom. Like, you see that image every single day. You see it every day around us. So I think now you think that this is how your life is supposed to be lived. To an extent, we emulated rappers growing up. How you treat women from that. You put that into your environment. Was that the right way? Absolutely not.
Right.
Who you emulated more, Dipset or Lot?
I'm embarrassed to say the way I treated women. I think I always treated women
more Locks or Dipset.
Nah, neither. I think I was respectful. You don't think you was respectful? But regardless of the answer to that, why did we do it? That's my point. Because we didn't have a foundation of people to talk to about these problems or whatever like that. Or if we did want to talk to people about it, we was soft. You're not having these conversations that we talking about 15 years ago with each other. You soft. Let's get as many women as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
You the man, depending on how many women you get.
I think it goes back to slavery.
Explain, please.
Well, during the slavery times, there was the men were used like that, basically like a rooster in a hen house. And that mentality of having as many hens as possible, or as being used, if there was a really strong black slave, they would use that slave to impregnate as many women as they could, because they were treating the slaves like property. And all they wanted to do was create the biggest and the strongest offspring that they possibly can. And we know how much of atrocity that was. But nevertheless, now you see these same attitudes of moving from women to women that had been carried over even after slavery has long been abolished. It's just a byproduct of, coming But I guess, in all honesty, we'd have to look at other cultures of the world and see if the same problem really does exist among men to make a fair comparison. But that's the first thing that came to my mind.
I mean, Boomerang was mine. Like when I seen Boomerang, I just thought I was
No, that's
quick.
good.
No, not
Go
quick.
ahead, go
That quick.
ahead.
That's
No, I mean, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, hold on. What's
Marcus
his name?
Grant, bro.
Marcus Grant.
Marcus Grant, bro.
Marcus.
So you wanted to emulate that? You wanted to emulate that?
The same thing. Same thing, yo. For real.
No, that's fair.
Same thing.
That's fair.
And Cuba Gooding Jr. on Boys in the Hood.
Like, we go from Marcus Graham to Cuba Gooding.
Because that
Jr.
movie was
and Boys
real,
in the Hood.
like moving to with your dad and then seeing the difference from living with your mom and living with your dad and then getting with these guys and then first time having sex and then, you know, it was.
But you wanted to do what you saw.
Then getting your hair cut by your dad.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I get it. And then my dad looked like Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. Serious Styles.
Yeah.
Why? Where do our insecurities come from as men? I think a lot of the issues that we as men have in relationships.
School, your peers, whatever you usually
get
teased
deeper
about.
in school. You can't say school.
Oh.
Okay.
Stay with you.
I don't know where ours come from as men, but I know where mine came from.
Okay.
Not being picked on the picked up on the 5-on-5. You know, when I was like in middle school. You know, I remember very clearly going to the court.
Middle school.
You
remember clearly.
Yeah, clearly. All the high school guys would be playing, and they would pick up 5-on-5, and I was I wouldn't get picked. I had to wait till the next game. You know, that really right there had a profound effect on my life because I went crazy after ball. You know. And when I never forget the year I came home from my freshman year in college, I was picked one of the first people. You know, and that
and
you don't understand what that did for me. You know, for my insecurities, because as men, there's something that God put on the inside of all of us to be male, and to be male means we want to be respected. And so when you don't get picked, you feel disrespected. And that thing right there, you can do a lot of things to a man, but you really want to mess a man up on the inside, disrespect him, you know, or being disrespected by a woman can have the same kind of cutting.
And when you say disrespect, is it disrespecting your ego or your character?
I would say probably your ego.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, for me, I can think of probably two things that caused me to be insecure the most of my life. One had to do with how I was viewed, disrespected by other men or my peers, and how I was disrespected by a woman or dishonored by a woman.
You got me thinking about Miss Baker in the 6th grade. I didn't know what the equator was.
Okay. Social studies teacher?
Social studies, 7th grade. This the first year I was in class with Dashawn and them. I went there the first couple days. She asked me what was the equator. I said, I have no idea. And a couple people started laughing because they learned it 5th, 6th grade. I wasn't in your class. My teacher ain't teach me this. And she looked at me like you didn't know what the color of the sky was. And it was a woman.
It was a woman.
And I look back years later, and it's like I struggled with public speaking for years. I never wanted to go to the class again, Wayne. I had it after lunch. I'll never forget because I didn't want to talk. It made me sick to my stomach to go there in her class after that day. And I look back at it as a man, and I was like, whoa, I don't even know if I ever even got over it or even put it to the forefront. Like I think it's great what we doing right now. Like we don't even acknowledge, you know, because we gotta have the ego, right? Like the ego comes with this tough exterior thing, right? We can't show weakness with ego. You just can't, right? But we also can't express these type of things in order to grow. It's a major issue, right? That's a major issue. You ever had a moment like that you could think of? Was it one specific thing, or or it just overall just because you're a prideful person?
Probably not playing varsity, not even dressing varsity. Not even dressing varsity, yo. That's crazy. Probably that. When I first had that moment.
You think about, the kid, and this didn't happen to me, but as an educator, music teacher, you always hear the story of somebody says, yeah, I remember I was in music when I was a kid. The teacher told me, just move my lips and don't make any sound. Just stand in the choir and just act like you sing.
I used to do that in church. I ain't know no song. I used to do that in church.
But the teacher ain't tell you to do that though.
No.
You just did it.
I just did it. I know no song.
She basically told him he wasn't good.
Right. We don't want you to mess up the rest of the choir by singing.
Lip sync.
So just that wasn't my testimony, but I've seen people do that, and one of the things I realized that this is not an issue of insecurity that's germane to men, because anytime somebody of authority says that to you, and then you look up 40 years later and you can't even remember the names of your other teachers, but you remember the name of that teacher.
Always.
And you can't remember the names of the kids who were in your class, but you remember the names of the one who made funny of one of your body parts, or called you a name, or based on your color of your skin or anything. That's, and I deal with it all the time. Because I'm dealing with the high school mind, and you all dealing with it because you're dealing with young people, and the things that you say to them and the experiences that they have are so important, because you could say one bad thing, one negative thing to somebody.
That's the only thing they're gonna remember.
And 10 positive things, and they're gonna remember the negative thing. And if it hit them in a place where they were vulnerable, then they're gonna carry it with them for the rest of their life.
And that leads to all different type of yeah. Whew. All right, let's get deep. Let's start with Wayne. Why is it such a challenge to be on the same page with a woman in a relationship? Just in totality from men. I'm not talking about you or
well, it all comes from the respect factor. If she don't respect you, then y'all never gonna get, the man is never gonna get what he needs, because she needs to respect you. She needs to know that it's not an even playing field. It's not. I'm the man, you the woman. If that don't never happen, if she says I'm a woman and I'm by your side, just no.
Before you continue,
Problem.
I want to ask him this question about what you just said. Do you believe in alpha in a relationship with a man and a woman, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think that those relationships were ordained by God, and I think they were ordained for a reason. And I think that many times when we see the woman try to be the alpha, is that what you're talking about? In the relationship, she might feel good about the fact that she is functioning as the alpha, but I've never seen one that was really happy on the inside. Because I think it's ordained by God that we have the roles that we have. I don't think that it changes the value or the importance of either person, but I think the roles are designed divinely, so that the relationship can function at its highest capacity.
Right. Totally agree.
So that's what I agree.
Go ahead.
But yeah, just the respect. After the respect, then it goes into the character of each other. Like then that's a little bit over my head, 'cause I don't know everybody's situation. But if you get the respect foundation, you winning. Like that's the hardest part, but that's the part that would just send you on your way in a relationship with a woman. Respect.
What do you think from our end though?
From our end?
Let me ask you that specifically. Our end.
From our end, we
in a
gotta
relationship.
Be a leader.
What's the biggest
challenge? We gotta
challenge?
be a strong leader. We gotta be a leader. We gotta be a strong leader. Like women always say, like it's alright for a man to cry and all that. No, at the end of the day, be strong, lead, you go to the bathroom and cry and come back out strong again and lead. That's what we need to do more of. Because we do it, but we need to do more of it. And once we lead like that, they'll follow. I believe.
You think we leading?
No, we probably like at 65%. You know, we got some little work to do. Probably like 65%. You know, the other 35 is like we lead when it's all good, but then when we get bad, now we like, hey babe, you gonna hold it down? No, don't ever say that. Hell no. Just be like, we got this, and be dead lying. We got this. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's just me.
What you got?
I think the biggest challenge is feelings of discouragement that men have in relationships with women when they feel like the relationship is unfair. Because you know, I remember when I went and asked my father-in-law for my wife's hand in marriage, and he looked at me, he said, son, I'm gonna tell you, some days it's gonna be 50-50. Some days it's gonna be 60-40. Some days it's gonna be 70-30. Some days it's gonna be 80-20. And some days it's gonna be 100 to nothing. And you're gonna come up on the short end of those sticks. Do you still want to be married to my daughter then? And that's the way relationships are. They're never always 50-50. And so you know, if you go into a relationship expecting to receive the same that you give, then I think what happens is when we don't get back what we give in the relationship, we get discouraged, we get disappointed, we feel defrauded as men. We like, I forsook all these other women out here that wanted me for you, and now I'm not getting what I need from you, or I'm not even getting a percentage of what I need from you. And that's not just in the area of sex, you know, but it's in whatever it is, you know, that you need. And one of the main things that we need as men is we need to be celebrated in our relationship. Because, you know, if your woman is cheering you on, saying, baby, you can do it. If she's always complaining about things, then you just gonna be like, oh.
You don't need nothing else when she's cheering you on.
If she cheering you on, you run through a wall.
You go against the world.
See what I mean? And so I think that when you're in a situation where you feel like you're giving more than you're getting out of the relationship, and then at the same point in time you're not getting the emotional support that you need, I think that's one of the biggest challenges for men. I think that's why men step out on their women, because you know you're the one you're committed to is not giving you emotionally what you need, and then this little thing over here is cute first of all, and then she's talking to you the right way, and so she's talking to you in the right way that kind of heals that disappointment and that pain from the relationship that you're committed to. Now, I'm not justifying the man walking away. I'm saying, you know, if I would say anything to any men listening, I would say be faithful, you know, stay in that relationship, you know, let it perfect your character. But you asked me what I thought the real challenge was. I think it's that discouragement, feeling, you know, like you're not being honored by your mate.
Yeah, both of y'all, that's some real interesting looks at it, man. It's just overall, I just think that in totality, like both parties is coming from so much trauma, right? Like the man and the woman. Nobody really, for the most part, understands how to do it right. Right? And you bringing all that baggage into a union.
There you go. Yeah. yeah. You're right. And I mean, I'm not being unsympathetic to the plight of the other person, but the question was about how we feel as men, and so that's how I answered it that way. But I agree with you, you know, and that's really what love is when you understand the baggage that the other person is bringing into the relationship. You give and take with one another.
Yeah, I don't even think me hit me one time with do you love me unconditionally?
Yeah,
like she was like she was like, man, forget love,
unconditionally,
whatever. Do you love me unconditionally?
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time when she asked me, I was, when I really sat down and think about unconditional, I was like, because it's a lot of pain and emotion, bro. Like with building something, like it's like everybody just go through something, and like you said, they hit the door. I'm not dealing with this. But in a sense, if y'all not built for each other, that's different. But that's really lazy, though. In a sense, you're not even trying to figure it out and like see if it could really trying to build together. You just, when your insecurity get hit or something like that, you just
go.
And it's like, especially with black people, I just think I don't know, man. I know we've been through a lot over the years, but it just feel like we be giving up, like with a lot of different things. I ain't even just talking about relationships. It just feel like we be giving it up, and that's why I really commend the people that fight. You know, like, you say what you want about Kanye West or something like that, call him crazy or whatever like that, but he a fighter. You know, even if he's striking out and missing, you know, he still continue to fight, and I just don't think we won't do enough of that in relationship. So let's just end with this. So what gets us guys over the hump? Because like, I know it's probably women watching this like, man, he ain't that, or whatever, my man ain't that, you know, they scumbags or whatever like that. So let's end on a positive note. What, from our end, and again, we just talking about us, from your perspective, what gets us over the hump? You know, because that's all that matters. All we can do is be the best man that we can be, you know, and let the chips fall. You know, so how can we be the best that we can be, you know, move on to society and make it a better place from a male perspective?
Be leaders. Be leaders in relationship and in the street. Stay in the leader role. They watching. Everybody's watching, you know. You always being watched. When you not think you're not being watched, that's when you really being watched. That's what I think with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, you know, in addition to that, you know, we need networks of men, like, say, starting with us and others who can come together and, you know, do a few key things that need to happen to support us in our role as men, to help us to get over the top. The one thing that we need a lot of as men is affirmation. You know, we don't have too many people coming and telling us, hey man, you know, you good, hey man, you awesome, man, you know what I mean, you know, you're a leader in the community, man. The way you work with those kids, man, it's an honorable thing for you to be so fight for your relationship the way you fight for your relationship. You know, you're an awesome dad. You know, all of these types of things. Men don't talk to each other like that. No. We talk about sports.
Yeah.
We talk about money.
Women.
We talk about women. You know, but we don't understand the power of affirmation. And real quick, I had a mentor in my life and early in my career, and he taught me this. And I would be going through difficult things on my job, and I could always email him or call him. And before he gave me any advice on what I should do, he would always remind me of who I was. He would say, you're a smart, talented, gifted musician and educator. Before he said anything, give me any advice on what I needed to do. And what happens is when we as men develop networks of men who know how to talk to each other like that, then that affirmation helps to build us up. And as we affirm one another and learn how to praise one another, we don't, like you said, it takes 15 years ago, men wouldn't be having these types of conversations. But we need to learn how to uplift and support one another in our maleness and in our manhood, and then develop the type of partnerships together, you know. And so I would say affirmation, praise, and partnerships. You know, affirmation, men affirming one another. Praise, groups of men who are committed to uplifting one another. And then partnerships, you know, being willing to stand with your brother when he's going through a difficult situation. Because we all get weak and we all fall down, we all fail. But the worst thing in the world is to have to walk through this thing alone. The best thing in the world is to have another brother that you can walk, beside you as you go through difficult situations. I quote the Bible. The Bible says in Proverbs, "Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy." And so, we need to stop blowing kisses at one another, and being enough of a friend that we ask the hard questions, that we give the hard challenges. Because if I just kissing you all the time, oh man, that's all right. You go ahead. She ain't nothing. She ain't treating you right. You go ahead. Oh man, the man, he ain't treating you right. He ain't nothing. All that is kisses. But sometimes what we need as men, we need friends. And friends always say the things that feel good, like a kiss. But friends will say the things to challenge us to be more excellent in our manhood.
If they're your real friends.
If they're your real friends, yeah.
All right. Let's end it there, man. Let's end it there. Wayne, you saw them shooting out there? What you think?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Pretty good. He said he shot thousands of those.
Thousands.
It was nothing but muscle memory.
Woo.
That's right.